don't consider them as a network. They can definitely someone who are reading your content and you're reading their content. So when those connections are formed into relationships is when you engage with them regularly, consistently, not once. If you leave me a thank you message, a lot of people leave a thank you message saying that, hey, thank you for connecting, glad to be on a network, etc. That's not really forming a network. uh, if they had to really be in touch with me or have me in their network of, network as in really network, someone you could reach out to anytime. So, I mean, if they want to do that, or if you want to do that with someone, all you have to do is be in communication with them very consistently, engage with their content very consistently. I mean, I literally remember the names on my tips of the people who engage with my content very consistently. And if they
Hello, Dravisha. Welcome to the MKR podcast, and I am so glad to finally have you. And for the listeners, it's also a long time since I hosted a podcast after the series, which had 40 to 50 podcasts. I took a break, and now we're back with a bang with Dravisha. How are you, Dravisha?
I am super excited. Thank you, Mishika. And let's hope that the listeners get to learn something from this conversation. And I'm going to keep it as impromptu as possible. I love having fun conversations, sharing as many learnings and value advice as possible. So I'm just all ready to get into it.
And I'm so excited to hop into the conversation. And I also, before starting, I also want to say how inspired I am when I look at all the great work you're doing at such a young age.
Thank you so much. I mean, what really inspires me to do that is just all my network, all you students. Students are the people that I mostly engage with on LinkedIn, offline, and it's all you basically who inspire me to do all of that. So I mean, right back at you.
So, since we know how, and now the Delhi University has also announced the 14th November, as of now, would be the date when semester one will begin, and all the school students will be basically exposed to a different sort of environment. So, I will start on that
True.
note, and I would like to know your experience. How was your experience when you came from such a protected environment in school, like we all are, to suddenly a super exposed and vulnerable environment to college, and where this whole web of opportunities, and we have to select for ourselves which to grab, which to let go. So it's pretty difficult, I would say. What has your experience been like?
I mean, for me, it was like my parents were in Ambala and my college was in Gurgaon. So I had to leave my family, stay in a hostel, relocate to Gurgaon. And I was already scared, right? All my relatives were like, oh my gosh, she's going to live in Gurgaon alone. So right after high school, right? So everyone was scaring me a lot. And I was like, how am I going to really, explore, move out of the college as a lady or grab opportunities? Like always people, our first years are very hungry, and I was one as well, right? So I was scared and hungry for opportunities at the same time. So my first year, you won't believe, I didn't step outside the college, but towards the end of first year, things started to change for me. I was so into grabbing opportunities. There was this conference once at IIT Delhi. I especially took the permission from my warden. I used to be there whole day from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. Take an Uber back from IIT Delhi to Gurgaon so late in the night. I used to keep a pepper spray with me just so that I can attend the whole conference. I mean, I had to decide that if I don't really step out of my college, nothing's going to come at my door, right? So it's you as an individual who has to take that step, push your boundaries a little and jump right into grabbing opportunities. And that's how exactly I started as a first year, pushing my boundaries and starting to grab some.
Right. And as times pass by, I think scenarios have changed a lot, and there are conflicting views regarding college. So, there's this college for degree versus college for knowledge and experience sort of thing which I've come across a lot now. And so, what are your views on that, and how the combination of two is a terrific one? Because when I talk to juniors, um, what I get to know, what I deduce from the conversation is usually how they're stepping in to the college for opportunities and for experiences, but not for the course that they've selected. So
I think for me, it's quite opposite. I mean, I do not depend on my college at all for opportunities or exposure. Even though we have a lot, I mean, there's no dearth of opportunities in my college or any college out there. But the reason that I really focus on my college academics or courses is that they help me get the professional or the academic aspect of things, right? That is something that you don't get when you're working. It's very practical, and sometimes you need theory backing you up, right? When you're actually
absolutely.
doing some groundwork out there. So since my majors is a combination of computer science and entrepreneurship, I do get to learn different stuff that I won't get to learn even as an entrepreneur 5 years down the line. And maybe it's better to learn now than wait for 5 years and learn out of my experience. So I think it's a mix of both for me. And I kind of focus on courses and my the experience that I gain from the practical side of work. So I think it's definitely a combination, and students should also look for both. I mean, I've seen students who have not been to college and have excellent skills even right after the 12th grade, right? I mean, that's unmatchable for people like me who need support of professional courses to be able to do their best off ground. I think then definitely there's a need for courses. Otherwise, if you're that person who's excellent at skills, excellent at everything, I mean, just go ahead, right? Just dive into work and skip your courses.
Right. So this was something even I experienced when I stepped in college. There was this whole web of opportunities and different societies and different internships, different sorts of everything, and I was super confused where to go, where not to go. So what would be your advice to the students, to the basically the school students, the first years who'll be coming in college this year, and some of them I'm sure would be super confused, kahan jaye, kahan na jaye. So how to figure that
True,
out for
true.
yourself?
About the part kahan jaye and all, this happened with me. I was in my first semester, and the one thing that all my seniors told me when I was concerned about internship was, it's BTech. I mean, the only time you need internship is fourth year. Why are you worrying about it right now? And I was like, I don't want to wait till fourth year. I want to do my internship right now, and I'm going to do it till fourth year. So when I reach my fourth year, I'm going to be the best in my batch. Okay. I was that student who was very excited to just gain experience. Even though I didn't have any skills, I didn't know what will I do, but I just wanted, like, I just want an internship. So in my second year, you won't believe I had 11 courses in my engineering, and I was doing two internships at that point. That were hardly paying me around 1,500 bucks a month, 2,000 bucks a month. That's it, and the work was no less than a 15,000 internship. But I was still doing it because I wanted that if I want to reach a place where I'm ahead of my batchmates in fourth year, while everyone is applying for those professional internships which are in your domain, etc., I would want to be the best. Okay, so if you want to be the best and you don't know what you want to do or what are you interested in, just pick up minimal internships that you think you might be interested in, but you don't know. For example, I took up an internship in content writing, but after that internship, I figured that I don't like doing content. Then the next internship was in marketing. And then I figured, okay, I really, really love marketing. And when it comes to another question arises, how will you convince the company or the employer that you don't have skills but you are still interested in marketing? So then it comes to personal skills. Okay, a lot of students don't believe in personal skills. They don't believe in communication skills, etc. You develop your personal skills to a maximum, and then you pitch yourself and make the employer believe in you that you are fit for this role, even if you're not. That is how I did my first marketing internship. I used to 24/7 learn online about marketing, read different blogs, read as many case studies as possible, and do experimentation. Marketing is all about experimentation. So that's how actually, with the hit and trial method, I actually found out where my interest lies. And if you don't dive right in your first year, uh, to work, then you won't ever be able to figure out. You'll always be scared to go fourth year and be like, okay, I don't know what to do, I don't want to do, and I'm just gonna wait for a company to pick me up from my college. So don't do that.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, how personal skills and communication skills play a great role. I think it's at the end, the world is a market and we should know how to sell ourselves. So it's
True.
majorly, I cannot stress on how important communication it is, right from just convincing our parents to buy us that toy to being employed.
True. I think it's the same level of skills. You just keep furnishing yourself, and then from your parents, you just convince an employer, and then you just grow from a child to an adult.
Absolutely. So I would now like to hop on to another aspect that I find super interesting, is which is traveling. Now, what I want to know before starting the traveling conversation is, how did you start to travel?
Okay, so I think it's very much connected to what I just said. I was very hungry in my first year for opportunities. So after my these two internships, I was just randomly scrolling LinkedIn, and at that point of time, I just used to use LinkedIn to see what Satya Nadella used to post, and just put a like on it and put a comment, and be just very happy. Oh my God, I commented on Satya Nadella's post and go offline. So I was just scrolling randomly one day, and I came across this opportunity of an expert conference, which is Harvard's Asia conference, and it was in Malaysia. So I was like, okay, this looks like a very good conference. I might get to know what's happening outside India, meet so many students, get a lot of exposure. So I was like, okay, let me apply. And before I was applying, I just told my mom very subtly that, Mom, I'm applying for a conference which is outside India. And no one in my family had a passport at that point in time. So my mom was giving me a very weird look, like all parents give, that, okay, beta, we don't have money, so don't apply, okay? We're not going to waste our money there. So, but then I convinced her, I told her this is Harvard's conference and we're going to do this and that. But I was very, very skeptical of getting selected, but I applied nonetheless. And to my surprise, I got selected and I had an interview. And this was the first time in my life I ever gave an interview. And again, I passed through the second round, and that was how I actually got to visit my first country outside India. That was my first international trip, traveling alone in a very foreign country. And I remember struggling through my airport to the residence, etc., etc. So that's exactly how I visited my first country, and everything followed after that. I attended a couple of international events, uh, mostly fully funded, or I got some scholarship, etc. And then I got really, really fond of traveling. I understood that it's traveling is something that is really important. It teaches you how to be independent, especially as a woman, because while you're in India, when you're attending national events, it's a very safe environment, or you're comfortable. You're just gonna meet Indian delegates, be very comfortable in your country. But when you step outside your country, you're representing not yourself but India, and then you get to hear so much from others that gives you X number of exposure to different countries, different topics in different countries. Because not, for example, entrepreneurship might not be same in every other country. So that's what really glued me to traveling, and that's how I got really glued to traveling, especially from the first conference that I attended, because that was actually the conference. This is a very funny thing. That was actually the first conference where I learned the meaning of entrepreneurship. I did not know that while I entered my second year. So, I mean, that meant a lot for me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to travel now to every conference, no matter what. So that's basically how I started traveling.
Beautiful. And I think it's also the cultural shock and experiences that you recollect, and basically everyone you meet and how you connect with people. It's the most beautiful aspect of traveling.
And I must tell you, like, this is all very beautiful, but it's also very scary at times when you are an introvert and you're suddenly in a gathering of 600 delegates and you have to network with all. So I mean, that's one thing that I learned, and I definitely wouldn't have learned while I was attending some events in India, because the gathering is so small and people talk in Hindi, something that you're very comfortable with. But outside, it's either English or just sign language,
Right.
when English is not a common language. So, yeah, I mean, it gives you a lot of exposure and converts you into an extrovert if you are introvert like me.
And so, when did the journey of self sufficiency and then raising funds start?
I think it was, yes, it was after two events. One was this Malaysia conference of Harvard, and the second was in Bali, where we were working with the Bali government. So this was actually the third event I really, really wanted to go. This was in December 2018, and so this was the Harvard's annual conference, and I just had a glance at their website and the form, and then I was like, this is very costly. But then again, I was so glued to the exposure that they were giving, so glued to the sessions that they were having. It was very knowledge centric, and not anything else. Like in conferences, you generally have XYZ things that are outside your academic area. So, but it was very knowledge centric. I would have been able to meet the HPS admission office, attend HPS classes, attend MIT classes, etc. Because that area is just, so rich in education and knowledge, because you have Harvard and MIT there. So I was like very glued to what was happening, what was that conference offering. So I was like, okay, this is something I cannot afford, but I still tried asking my parents. So I asked my parents. It was a big no, because obviously, I mean, no parent is going to agree if you're coming from a middle class family and you have to pay approximately 90,000 for the whole expenditure of the conference. So I was like, so on the other hand, my mind was saying, it's not worth it to spend so much for a conference. And on the other hand, I was like, somehow if I get this money, I'm very sure I'm not going to miss this conference. So I was like, let's give it a try. I'll try a fundraiser for my conference, and let's see if people want to help me, I will go. Otherwise, I won't go. I mean, it's all up to the people, and I'm not forcing anyone to donate. So I just create a fundraiser. I write a very strong message from my heart, list down all of my achievements so far and why I want to really attend this conference. So I list everything down on that fundraiser and additional cost. I tried listing down the cheapest option available for the accommodation, flights, etc., and just get the budget down as much as possible. And I ran a fundraiser. And to my surprise, the fundraiser was actually completed in 2 weeks. I raised about 1 lakh for my conference, and I very much remember the moment it happened. I was in Bali, almost going to return back to India, and I got a notification that someone recently contributed 50,000 to my fundraiser, and it was a huge shock for me. I was like, "Who is this person? I really want to figure it out." But it was an anonymous person. Again, power of networking. That person actually wrote a message for me that he's some relative of a friend of mine that I met in Egypt who was from Palestine. So you see, the connection is just so round and round, and it's just happened on the power of networking that the friends I met in Egypt back in that point of time at an event. So I completed my fundraiser, and I made sure that I'm not going to spam my fundraiser anywhere. I'm not going to do any marketing campaigns. It's just going to be true from my, like, straight from my heart, very true. I'm going to post it twice maybe on LinkedIn and twice maybe on Facebook. That's all I did for my fundraiser. And I made sure that I didn't want to turn this in a marketing campaign or spam WhatsApp people or Instagram people. I just wanted to be, okay, if this is for me, this is going to happen. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And that's actually how I completed my first fundraiser and that Harvard's annual conference. And yeah, I attended.
Beautiful. So, when we hear the word fundraiser, something that pops up in our mind is usually for a social cause. So, I would like you to tell the students the ABCs of fundraiser and what ways a fundraiser can differ.
So I have actually written a very detailed article on this. It's on my LinkedIn profile, but I'm anyways going to just crisply tell you some ABCs. Firstly, only do a fundraiser when you are, university is not helping you, or your parents are not helping you, or after you've contacted some organizations, they're not helping you. I mean, it was the last option for me. I tried contacting some NGOs, some firms who want to sponsor me, etc. And I had just totally given up. And that's the point I actually did a fundraiser. Because a lot of people think that, I will do a fundraiser nevertheless. I don't want to burden my parents even if they can afford, or I don't want to use my pocket even if I can afford. So don't try and do that. If you can afford, even if it empties your account and you really want to go there, just do it. It's just that it was the very last option for me, and I did not have anything in my account. So I had to resort to this. So make sure that you try niche and everything, and fundraiser should be the last option for you. And second thing is that be very true with your fundraiser. Like I said, I did not convert it into a marketing campaign with an influencer or anyone at all. So be very true when you're trying to do a fundraiser, even if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of connections on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. uh, so if you use a platform like Millap or Keto or GoFundMe, there are loads of them. They automatically try and help you if you're genuine and get you up on the page, etc. So try and rely them. The content is very important of your fundraiser. Don't think that you write anything that makes you sound very social or very positive is going to get you money. What you should write is how is it going to help the others who are supporting for you. So I actually wrote a letter to everyone who basically donated money to my fundraiser. I was happy to write a letter to them if they wanted, etc. And so little things like these matter a lot. Even, I mean, letter is something people don't really give an importance to. But what if if you actually receive a letter from someone at home, you're gonna feel really special, and
Absolutely.
little things matter, right? So I try and did this to make sure that you're giving back something to the people who are donating to your crowdfunding campaign. And I think second and the last thing I will iterate is try and attach a very true cost associated with your fundraiser. I've seen people who do not attach the expenses and just make an estimate and try to do a fundraiser. I mean, I could have done a fundraiser for 1,20,000 and people would have still donated. But what's important is that you should be true to yourself and to the people who are donating. I very crisply laid out what's going where, and the total was my money for fundraisers. So don't try and fool people. It's not going to go well for you. And the last thing is that don't spam people. Don't spam. I mean, it's very obvious that if you try and reach someone with something very repetitively, the most probable answer will be no. They won't do it. It's just psychology. So try not to spam people, try not convert it into marketing campaign, and keep your content solid. Why should I donate for you? Who is it that, why should I care for you firstly, Why should I care for you? You're just going to a conference, having the time of your life. Why should I, care for you or donate for you? So make sure that you cover about yourself very much in detail, and how are you going to give back to the society. That's what matters, because if someone is investing in you, they would want you to give back, if not to them but to the society, right? So make sure that is very crisply laid out on your content. I think that these are the couple of points that I would like to mention. And also lastly, you can also reach out to the people who have previously crowdfunded for the same event. I mean, I reached out to someone who had crowdfunded for the Howard's annual conference, take some tips, etc. So that's all about it.
Okay, so something that I could deduce from the conversation is the power of connections and the power of relationships that you built over a period of time. So I would just like you to throw some light upon how did you start understanding the term network, and how did you work upon it over a period of time, and how do you leverage your networks?
So the first event where I realized the part of networking, I mean, I obviously was a second year and I did not know that, okay, Dravisha, you have to network and, make the best out of it. I was just a very dumb student at that point in time. So it just happened accidentally in the first event. And then I realized, okay, this is something that I should not back off from. So in the first event that I went to Malaysia for the Harvard Asia conference, I was actually very active in talking to people who were coming to the conference. Okay. So for example, if you're a delegate and you're from Japan, I would just, and if you're a computer science student or someone related to startups, I would definitely drop a message to you and ask you what are you up to, and offer you if you want a souvenir from India, and just strike a conversation with you and make sure that I meet you at the conference. These are just two lines. Okay, I just asked you about what you're up to, and second, I just offered to bring a souvenir for you. Just do very simple things, and this is something that you'll always remember, that okay, this girl offered me a souvenir and I really have to meet her. Then again, these are the little things that matter. So since it was my first event, the very reason I was excited and I did this whole talking to people very actively before the conference, and I did not know, like, no one taught me that, Dravisha, you have to do this. So after I actually landed in Malaysia, I actually attended the first day of the conference. Everyone knew me. I mean, I'm not even kidding or boasting. Everyone knew who Dravisha was. And I was the one who was asking, okay, who are you? And they would just come to me and be like, hi, Dravisha, so nice to see you. And it was so embarrassing that I was like, I'm sorry, I don't collect your name, something like that. And then I realized the power of networking. Like, if people remember your name, if people remember that they have to meet you, of course, 600 delegates didn't know me, but if I was in a room, everyone knew me. Like, that was the power of networking, the power of being so kind to people, the power of having or striking conversation with people before even going to an event is very important, and especially after the event. Nice catching up with you, etc. And something that I've not seen in India is people don't have the habit of gifting to strangers. Like,
Absolutely.
if I'm attending an event, no one's gonna give me a gift
Mm.
saying that it was nice meeting you, Dravisha. Nice to see you at this event. So I decided I will do that. So I used to carry small gifts, even though they were just magnets or some Indian Mitti Ke keychains, like little things. So I used to carry them with me all the time I was attending any event, and I used to give them to any stranger that who would become my friend at that event, as a token of thanks, as a token of friendship, anything at all. So little people remember these little things. And that's how I actually realized the power of networking. Until date, at every event, the people I've met, I'm still in touch with them. So you can imagine the power of these little things. And
Right.
they just add up to this professional term that we call networking.
And also, I think something that we don't do very often is say thank you or write thank you notes. I think they are really sweet and they speak to me a lot, and I love thank you notes. I love writing thank you notes, and how, like,
Oh
thank you,
my
you were
God, you
very
just stole my heart. So I really have a very big thing for thank you notes. I always carry these small cards. I think when I was a kid, they used to be at Archie's. They used to have those colorful small cards, blank cards.
right.
I used to buy 50, 50, 100 bunches of them. I still have them in my bag. So I just secretly keep it somewhere if I want to thank someone. For example, when I attended that Harvard conference, I left it for my Airbnb host, and I was leaving the villa, and he was not available, so I had to clean everything and just leave the home. So I actually left a very beautiful gift, a Rajasthani hanging for him, and a very good, and that's Archie's Wala thank you note for him. And he was so excited and happy when I reached India. He literally gave me a call, and he was literally telling me the words that no one has ever done this for us. People just usually live and just leave. So, I mean, I really, really believe that even a small act of kindness, such as thank you notes, make a big difference in someone's life. So, if you have a chance of being kind, just write a thank you note, please.
Absolutely. And so, from personal experience, when I joined LinkedIn, so what the idea that I had of networks is anyone who you're connected to on LinkedIn is basically your network. So, and I was proved wrong very soon, and how I realized networks and relationships are two things that are connected but not very frequently the same. So I realized how networks can be transformed into relationships but not the people who your connections on LinkedIn are definitely not your network.
True. So, I mean, don't consider them as a network. They can definitely someone who are reading your content and you're reading their content. So, when networks are sorry, those connections are formed into relationships is when you engage with them regularly, consistently, not once. You know, if you leave me a thank you message, a lot of people leave a thank you message saying that, hey, thank you for connecting, glad to be on a network, etc. That's not really forming a network. uh, if they had to really be in touch with me or have me in their network of, you know, network as in really network, someone you could reach out to anytime. So, I mean, if they want to do that, or if you want to do that with someone, all you have to do is be in communication with them very consistently, engage with their content very consistently. I mean, I literally remember the names on my tips of the people who engage with my content very consistently. And if they message me right away, out of all the 100 messages that I have, I'm going to open their message first. That's
Absolutely.
the big difference that it makes if you engage with someone's content consistently. And even the word goes around. I mean, if I'm talking to my friend or you and you strike a conversation on LinkedIn with me, I'm going to be like, oh, that person is so nice, he always leaves such positive comments, such strong arguments if he's not agreeing with me. That person is amazing. So that again adds on to the word of mouth as well. You know, it speaks very highly of who you are if you engage with someone very consistently. Even if it's with their content, you don't have to message them. They will remember your name if you engage with them consistently. So just try and do that if you want to convert your connections to your network. And when it comes to relationships, offline networking is the best. You know, so this is something I did last year. I actually invited a group of 10 students every weekend and met with them offline at a cafe in CP, which is Connaught Place in Delhi. I used to just sit with them, talk with them, create a safe space so that everyone could, you know, share their learnings, their journey, their challenges so far. What are they deciding for their future? And if they're confused, you know, like we all could help them. And it was a mix of students from tier one to tier three to tier two. So imagine the impact it creates for a student who's from a village, from a government college, meeting a student who's from IIT Delhi. You know, it creates a big difference for that student because he gets to know or hear the exposure or the challenges these students face, and they get to know about the challenges these students face because it's different in both scenarios. So I mean, that's how I actually converted some of my connections into relationships, and they are like my best friends today. They reach out to me anytime they need help or just strike random conversations. So try and do that with your connections. I mean, I'm sure someone would really, even if it's just two people you meeting offline, that would really mean the world to them and to you and make a difference to your network.
Absolutely. And it's also lovely how you're impacting their lives and, creating this change for them and for yourselves as well as you leverage those networks. But on a brighter side, I am really impressed by how these small meetings or small connecting offlines, how it impacts their lives. It exposes them to a different sort of environment and how dreams then widen up. So,
Okay, I'll just tell you a very realistic story. What happened was, just pardon me for breaking you. I'll just sum it up in two lines. So it's a very realistic thing that happened with these meetups. So one of the students was actually, he recently graduated and he insisted, like, you know, he's a young professional now. Can he still join the meetup? He's really curious to meet us all. So he joined the meetup, and he's from a MNC, right? It's a very pretty famous corporate MNC. And he was willing to join us, and we had two students there as well in that meetup, right? So we were a group of 10, and you won't believe, he actually ended up helping two of the students get an internship at that firm. And that's how, you know, we actually became like a family after that, spending 3 hours. We just actually had to spend 1 hour, but we ended up storing around CP till 6 in the evening. Yes. So that is the impact that it has, offline networking. I mean, if that person would have gone around, you know, texting him on LinkedIn, that very same person, that, hey, can you please look at my resume, give me a referral, it won't have happened, you know. if he's meeting him offline, and he just had to leave a message to him, right after the meeting, that hey, it was great meeting you. uh, I would love to know the opportunities at your company. I would really intrigued to hear your challenges, etc. And yeah, he was like sure. And then bam, they both got an internship. So offline networking really has an impact, even if you're a student.
Absolutely. I think nothing can match the power of offline meetups and conversations that you have. The quality is so rich.
True.
So something that I would like to ask you, some last couple of questions before we end the conversation, is what are your learnings? What are some of the say lifelong learnings that you'll keep with yourself from the experiences of some hit and trial somewhere, experimenting and going into different domains, attending different conversations and meeting different people?
I think something that I still hold as a very good learning for me is, after attending so many conferences and visiting so many cities, um, doing bad internships to good internships to excellent internships, is I'll tell you a fun fact, okay, and this is very related to I want to convey as a learning is, till date, any internship or any part-time job or any freelancing thing or any contract-based job that I've done till date, out of them all, I've only applied once to one of them, and rest all of them have been approached to me via the founder or via the CEO, uh, someone from the company. I've never applied to those companies at all in my life. So from this, what I want to tell everyone is that take personal branding very seriously when you're in college, because people, what they believe is that personal branding is to be done when you have tags like McKinsey, Deloitte in front of you, or IIMs or IITs. You don't need that. When I started working on my LinkedIn profile, I was in a tier 3 engineering college. I mean, I don't want to discriminate, but I just want to show you that even a student from tier 3 college can do that. I mean, it doesn't take a Deloitte person or a McKinsey person to do that. So, and all these are very connected to the internships or the events or the conferences that I've been to. One thing that I learned is personal branding is very important. And you won't believe, I did not even know this term personal branding. I was just working on my profile, and then I actually got to know this is personal branding. What I'm doing is personal branding. So I did not follow anyone's footsteps. So I just wanted to just stand out and keep my opinions as a student on LinkedIn, because I only saw professionals keeping their opinions. So I was like, if I am a student, I am not an expert, so I cannot keep opinions. What I can do is share my experience, share my learnings from the little things that I'm facing as a student. And that's how I built the personal brand. And I shared my hack right there with you. And please take that as a learning. So that is one thing that I would really want to share.
And apart from that, what is the best advice that you've been given, be it in professional life or personal life, that you would like to share? But summing up into a 3 to 5 word presentation title. So that's the twist here.
Okay, 3 to 5 words. Okay, you're really testing me. Okay, so I think this is something that I've got from Satya Nadella. I was reading his book, Hit Refresh. So he says empathy should ground you and center you. And that one line has been stuck with me in my head, in my heart, everywhere with me throughout my journey till date. And I have literally been at the point where I have quit my internship or job if they were not surrounded by empathy. Empathy is that important for me. And I would want to make sure that it is for you as well, because empathy is something that's gonna uh, basically make you stand out. If you're not someone who's empathetic, people are not going to be very kind to you. And if you're not kind to others, there's no point of the money that you're earning today. So make sure that empathy should ground you and center you. That's how I would want to sum it up right there.
Beautiful. And for the last question before we end the conversation and the podcast right there is, what is your message to all the listeners? And the listeners are basically Generation Z and the college students or the pass outs, to like, how do they go about digging
So I'm gonna
opportunities?
assume. Okay, I'm going to assume we have this lockdown for a couple of months more, seeing that it's just not improving. But I certainly hope it does get improved in a few months. So the only thing I want, something that I see, okay, so this is on the basis of my observation, that a lot of students, college students, Gen Zs, are very addicted to doing certifications online, be it in the form of webinars or Udemy courses. Like even in small things that I notice is someone's conducting a webinar and they're like, we are going to give you certificates for attending the webinar. You just jump into that webinar no matter what it is about, even if it's about how to cook a salad. You just attend that webinar. So just don't try and be a part of the herd. Do what you want to do. For example, if I'm someone who wants to improve my coding skills, which I'm still struggling with, but I made sure I'm not going to do any certification courses or attend webinars which are not related to coding just for the sake of certificates. Just don't try and be a part of the herd. Sit in a corner, decide what you want 5 years down the line, and make sure that every step that you're taking in your life aligns with it. Have fun. No one's saying that you can't do anything that doesn't align with your career, but just don't be a part of the herd. Do what you want to, believe in yourself, and please plan what you want to do from 5 years from now. I don't want to be standing and texting influencers on LinkedIn, can you help me what to do, or can you help me, I don't know, what am I doing in life? Because I get a lot of messages like these. And I tell them one thing, which is I'm going to tell you all that planning is the key. If you don't plan, you're just gonna end up wasting your weekends like me. Sometimes when I don't plan my weekends, I'm just logging here and there, watching Netflix, sleeping late, and sleeping all the day basically. So I have been really strict with me lately. I've been on schedule for everything. And a fun fact that I want to tell you is I've never done a single certification course in my life. I mean, even if I tried doing it, I just ended it after first lesson. So I'm not saying you shouldn't too, but just don't do it for the sake of certificates. Do it for the sake that it's aligning with your career, it's aligning with your goals, and make sure that you are very much on track, focused, and not wasting your time like some first years and second years doing partying and all of that random stuff. Just don't. Be very focused.
Absolutely. And I think I've been there, and I've mindlessly um, logged in for all the webinars and online courses, because when this lockdown started, something that I was expecting is it would be over soon, but as and when I realized it is here to stay, I geared up. I changed things for me. I started journaling, and I must mention how journaling has helped me a lot, helped me introspect, helped me with
Journaling
my
is
own self.
beautiful. Yes.
So
I
that is
mean, it's
something
so
that
I hear a lot of Robin Sharma. I'm sorry to cut you, but I'm just very excited to tell you. And you might have known this as well. Robin Sharma is a life coach,
like,
the author of The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and he emphasizes a lot on gratitude journaling. If you get up early in the morning and write 10 things that you're thankful for daily, the kind of impact that it's going to have on the positivity of your lifestyle is just tremendous.
and it is
Try
true.
and do
I've
that.
experimented that with myself. I have also encouraged my mom and my sister to do that. And the kind of positive vibes that you create for yourself throughout the day is unimaginable. So
And it's actually funny, like today was the first day I tried meditating, uh, and it is just mind blowing. I was that person who used to say that meditating is for professionals or old people and all that. That was just really stupid of me to think. But today was the first day I did meditation, and it is mind blowing. Just try gratitude journaling and meditation early in the morning, and you're going to see a huge change in your in the way you think, in the way you feel, and positively. All three things are going to just change drastically.
And on that note, Dravisha, I would like to thank you for giving us time and such great insights. I had a great time, a great conversation.
I enjoyed a lot, to be honest, talking with you, sharing these little things of my life, and hopefully they're going to help someone who's listening to you, to me, and hopefully it's going to change someone's life.
Absolutely. It was an insightful session for me.